Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool Podcast. My name is Fortyfive. Today we got Meech from Bespoke Helmet and Apparel, Bespoke Bikelife Helmet and Apparel. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing today?
Appreciate it, man. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, we were trying to get this going for a little bit. Let's jump right into it, man. Let's talk about, when did you get your first bike, man? What was that like?
Oh man, we going back.
Going back, man, to the beginning.
Going back. So, my first bike was actually I was older, but my first ATV I was about 13 or 14, and my mom went and got me a Yamaha Blaster from New York Motorcycle, and it been lit ever since. You know what I'm saying? But I was born in a family that was already bike oriented. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My uncle, my mom's brother, had a RM80 in the garage. When I first knew how to walk, I would go and play on a dirt bike, even though it was blown up. Right. But they never got rid of that RM, so it was always in my garage. So as a kid, me and my cousins would always, fake like we riding it and things like that, even though they never fixed it.
Right.
But then I got 14, and DMX and Rough Riders came out, and they kind of gave me another spark to take bikes. Like I really wanted a bike at that point after Rough Riders.
Right. So talk about that a little bit. What was that like? Seeing it for the first time and being in New York. I assume you were in New York at the time and seeing all that. What was that? What was that like for you? Seeing all that.
I mean, like any kid, hip hop is real impressionable. So Rough Riders was like really, really embedded in the hip hop culture.
Yeah.
So, DMX, being my favorite rapper, he was really like my introduction to like hip hop, for myself. I always listened to it because I grew up in a black house. So of course we listened to rap and R&B, but DMX when I was 13, 14, it was like, that's what really opened my eyes to bikes. And, I saw bikes in the neighborhood. I don't think there's no kid that grow up in the city or anywhere that see bikes and be like, I don't like bikes. You know what I'm saying? I really doubt that. I just, I don't think no kid sees motorcycles and be like, I don't like them. So naturally, I was already attracted to it. And then, I begged my mother for about 2 years. I got good grades I went crazy, got good grades, like just to get this bike. And then she went and financed me a Yamaha Blaster. And I thought I was a Rough Rider, and got me a shirt. And, my boy Brett, actually, he was the first one to get one. He taught me how to ride actually the gears and everything like that in a park. So, after my friend taught me how to ride, I started begging my mother. She got me the Blaster. We started riding in the streets immediately. And I always say to my mom, I was like, yo, Mom, what was on your mind buying? Because as a parent now myself, I wouldn't buy my son a four-wheeler and really just let him run around in the streets, even though I ride in the streets and I might police, well, not no more, but I used to. I wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? But I think, I think being that my dad wasn't really in my life at that point, so it was like I think my mom might have been overcompensating for him not being around and not knowing that, maybe I shouldn't get him this $3,000 four-wheeler and I don't have a pickup to take him to no tracks. She didn't even know where a track was. So
right.
It was exhilarating though, it really shaped my childhood. I will say that in the late 90s, early 2000s, bike life culture was really like, it wasn't really a kid's place, even though kids was involved.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We watch these videos again from the Rough Riders and, we see them 200 bikes in the street. And
right.
You remember the dude that was on the yellow Banshee going down the steps with no hands and all of that stuff really influenced the culture, the youth, to jump in an adult culture. You know what I'm saying?
And
so it kind of,
not to cut you off, but for lack of a better word, also the street life, because as you're saying it, I'm thinking about in Boston as well. And most of the cats that had, you know, that many toys, they also, you know, they're on the streets as well doing their thing. You know what I'm
I was
saying?
exactly what I was gonna say.
So
You took the words out of my mouth. So when you get into the bike culture back in, 99, 2000, 2001, you obviously a kid, so you're gonna be hanging around older dudes.
right.
And a lot of the dudes who I personally think bike life culture, dirt bikes in the streets and ATVs in the streets and all of that come from, the underworld.
Yeah.
Like, cause, it's for us in the inner cities, like you just said, dudes who had extra money to have those kind of toys around was in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of around a lot of street stuff before I should have been, let's just say that.
Me
I
too,
was at a
man.
young age.
I was sleeping out at
Yeah.
13, man. So,
Yeah.
shouldn't have been. And my kids don't.
Yeah, exactly. So, it sent me down. It did send me down. I'm not gonna blame bike life solely, obviously, but I would say hip hop. Because I come from a good home. You know what I'm saying? My mom's provided for me. I never wanted for nothing. Like I had a brand new Yamaha Blaster at 13, 14 years old. So obviously, I wasn't really struggling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the influence of bikes is always back then was always kind of steered down a negative path. Like even in movies, you know what I'm saying? The bike guys is always the bad guys.
Yeah.
So so I got that Yamaha Blaster. Then I think my next bike was a XR 250. And then after that, it was motorcycles, the GSXRs, 750s and things. And then, I went down a little wrong path for a little while in the early parts of my life, got in some trouble. And then I, got past all of that and, opened my eyes and shaped it up. And I turned my passion into a business, really. You know what I'm saying? After my last situation and stint in jail, I turned my passion into a business, and I'm on my 10th year with it. So, it's a blessing. I wouldn't change the journey for nothing, really.
Right. Yeah, I feel you there. And what made you stay with it for that long? I was just listening to this guy that does a podcast, and he does track days and stuff like that, and he was saying that the average life of a racer is like 3 years. And even like, I've been around it long enough now to see like you it's kind of, you either in it for life or, you kind of get a little feel like, going on vacation to Cancun or something like that. And you're like, all right, I'm done with that. So was it because your family was into it so much, or you just kind of you just knew that was your passion?
I don't think because of the family, because they just had bikes. They wasn't really like necessarily into it, because by the time I got older, I only had one uncle who was still riding at the time.
Right.
But overall, I think the fact that it was always, I wasn't necessarily like full on everyday riding until 2013, when I came home from prison. And that was my last time. I never looked back. I knew that was it for me. But prior to that, when you're in the streets, it's like bikes is like it's like a vacation thing. I might ride this weekend.
Right.
I might have rode a bike 4 times a year prior to 2009, 2008, 2007. 6. I had a lot of in and out, 2 years here, 1 year, 3 years here. So it was always in and out of jail for my 20s.
Right.
I came home I think I came home when I was like 29. And within 1 year, I got into auto upholstery, and like I really said, I had a lot of felonies, and I was just thinking to myself, like, what could I do? You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to get a job as a felon, as you could imagine.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out what to do. And then luckily, in 2013, it was 1 year into this Instagram app. So that was a real blessing, because it made a lot of people with entrepreneurial passion. It made it easy for people that wanted to start business compared to people who probably tried to start businesses before. So I started auto upholstery, doing, tried my hand at that for about a year, and then I ended up. I made a helmet for myself. I went and got some snake skin from the city, from the garment district in Manhattan, and from that first helmet, it just kind of took off naturally. I didn't plan on making it a brand with the helmets. I actually started Bespoke Bikelife as a brand to make, those shoe covers that go over your foot for you.
Yeah.
That was the original idea, to start making those, and then the helmet took off. Everybody wanted one, and then organically, I never been out of work since 2014.
Wow.
So yeah, so I turned my passion into my business based on kind of like I won't say desperation, but I just knew I needed to do something other than the life that I was already committed to. Right. So I had to change up, you know what I'm saying? And bike life, going back to your question, like what kept me involved so long is because I was never really on it day after day. Right. It was always kind of like just like a novelty thing. I know how to ride a bike. I always had one. I would always have a bike. But after I started the brand, I bought a Aprilia RXV 450.
Okay.
And I had a CBR 1000 RR that I had rebuilt and turned it into like a street fighter. I put a big 300 rear tie on it with the single-sided swing arm. I did one of those builds, but it was really a show bike that I thought I would be able to ride daily, but I kept breaking it. And, right. I just kept buying dirt bikes after that. Even though I liked all bikes,
right.
It was, the dirt bike culture was just so, exhilarating at the time of 2013, because it was like 1 year after the Hollywood block party. This big ride out that Hollywood Stunts had put together. And it was about, man, I want to say it was at least 500 bikes.
Oh, wow.
And I watched it on YouTube. I was in jail during the ride out, but a year later I'm home and I'm watching it on YouTube, and I'm like, wow, bike culture is nothing like it was before. So I said, I got to get me a bike. And I just been involved in it ever since now. And I don't ride that often, you know what I'm saying? Right. Because I'm always working on helmets and design and stuff. So it's like, I really ride probably, once a month, if that,
okay. Before we dive into the business side of things more, was there a pivotal moment that you said, okay, I'm changing my life? Or was it gradually over time? Because I got arrested a few times as well. I didn't do any real time, but and I also had a kid young, so it was like the combination of that was just kind of like, all right, I got to do this for him. Was there something that kind of just like, all right, man, it's time?
Well, I did have kids young as well. I had my first kid at like 20, but. People, I guess people do say, like, when you do have a kid, you make attempts in your mind to change your life, right? Yeah. But the reality don't always be like that. When you got a kid, you might say, yo, I got a son now, I don't want to go to jail no more, but I still went to jail when I had a son.
Right.
And I think it was more of me trying to change my family dynamic, because I don't come from like a crime family, but I do come from a family where, my dad and my uncle, who I was, highly influenced by, they was in the streets. So I think not knowing, being young and impressionable, thinking that that's the way to go, I went that route. So when I came home in 2013, I think it was more like, I have to take advantage of this opportunity right now, because again, social media was a whole different landscape in 2013 and 2008 and 7, 6, 5. Like, so this social media platform, Instagram, it made everything wide open. So you just had a real chance at making something, take off. And I just had to, I looked at it like, I knew I wasn't going back to the streets selling drugs. I knew I wasn't trying to deal with that, because my last time in jail was a rough time. You know what I'm saying? I had to do 13 months in solitary confinement for something that I didn't even do. Wow. So that moment right there, while I was, you know, in the box, I was thinking to myself, like, I had 4 different business ideas written out. And Bespoke Bikelife helmets wasn't one of them, but it was I knew that I was going to do something in motorsports like kind of sector, because I love cars, I love bikes, and I just figured, like, you know, my friends kept telling me over the phone about Instagram, you know, my last year. So I was just I came home with on a mission to make sure that I do something different, and, you know, kind of change the cycle of my family, and especially be a better role model for my kids.
Right.
So I think it was a mixture of both, and it just from the day I stepped foot, you know, in the world in 2013, I never looked back. I just knew that, you know, I have to do something, and Bespoke Bike Life came organically 12, 13 months later.
Okay.
And yeah, I just been working ever since, man.
So let's talk about the name. How did the name come about? Since it wasn't one on the business plan, how did the name come about? I like the name. I think of the bespoke style clothing and stuff like that. But, like, you know, how did that come about?
So it's a good question. So in the beginning, when I first started, I didn't have a name. I was just trying to figure out, you know, I used the word custom when I was making stuff. I was like, custom motorcycle helmets, right? And then I was like, it just sounds so bland, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I knew the word bespoke meant basically custom, but the word bespoke was really like more or less used in the UK. It's more of a British terminology, you know what I'm saying? Like in America, someone would market a custom suit maker, and UK they would say a bespoke suit maker, right? So I just like the way it rolled off, you know, Bespoke Bike Life. I knew I had to use the term bike life because I was paying attention to how social media worked with you know, hashtags and things like that. So I figured, you know, adding bike life to it was definitely gonna be basically putting it in a category, a specific category that it was in. And bespoke just because, you know, you design it yourself, you know what I'm saying? You come up with the idea yourself, and I make it. And I thought about it, and then I said, you know, I like the way it rang, and I stuck with it. And nobody in the beginning, people thought, you'd be surprised how many people didn't know what the word bespoke meant. They thought I just made the word up. They thought it meant like the word BE, and then spoke. Like spoke on tire or something. I remember I used to have to post the definition from the Merriam-Webster's on my page to remind people, like, listen, this is a word. You know what I'm saying? This is not something I just made up. It means custom. That's all it means. It's just custom bike life. So, you know, I came up with that, and again, bike life was, if you hashtag and put bike life on Instagram, it has a bigger audience than Formula One, NASCAR, motocross. Yeah, it's like over 30 million hits on the bike life hashtag. So that alone showed me, you know, in 2014 that this is what I want to.
And correct me if I'm wrong when you say bike life. It's not bike life in general. It's more like the dirt bike, street riding, bike life.
So originally, I don't know who created the term. Okay. I won't even try to, you know, pinpoint that, but I will say that the dirt bike street culture coined it. They pretty much are the ones who made it popular. But the way I use it, I view bike life as a whole. Right. You know what I'm saying? I don't really, I leave. So when you hear somebody say real bike life, you know what I'm saying? They might be referring to the dirt bike street culture. You know what I'm saying? Like my brother Sig, who's a amazing photographer out of Atlanta, who has a brand named after himself. It's called Sig. And he has a one design where it says RBLO, and it's real bike life only. And it's like, he's referring to dirt bike street riders.
Right.
Me, I'm trying to take bike life and make it more universal, because, you know, I'm growing from just the dirt bike street culture. I've been in this 10 years now. I sold helmets to Harley riders, GP dudes. That I've made helmets for all kinds of different riders, cafe racers, adventure bikes. Like I've made helmets for all kinds of bikes. So it's not, exclusive to dudes in the streets riding dirt bikes. So when bike life for me, I'm trying to educate the culture because we all growing and learning. You know what I'm saying? When I started it, I was 29, 30 years old. I'm 39 now. So it's like I've learned how vast the culture of bikes is, period. The culture of bikes is immense. You know what I'm saying? From just one bike, let's just use the dirt bike, right? So you got the dirt bike with the main sport attached to the dirt bike is motocross, right? And then you got enduro, right? And then you got supermoto, right?
Yeah.
You got flat track, right? Then it's so many. So that's just from one bike. Then you go to Harley, and you got baggers, you got diners, you got sportsters, you got every bike has multiple subcultures under it. So I like to, expand the mind of the riders, as much as possible so that we're not just stuck into, wheeling in the streets because there's so much more to it. I love wheeling, don't get it twisted, but I like racing. I go to LA and I go to the Harley races. I go, I was a pit crew for a dude that raced for Moto America. I just love the whole culture of bikes. It don't matter what kind of bike it is. My dream is to just have every type of bike, whether it's a enduro bike, a supermoto, a bagger, a chopper. I don't care to have a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce. I just want all the bikes, from all different aspects of the culture.
Wow. Now, when you started, I had so many questions, but when you started, did you think 10 years later you'll be where you are right now? When you were first kicking the idea out, or it's just kind of like pulled you along all the way?
A little bit of both. I would say I thought I was going to be successful. I tried to, stay positive about everything I do and say, this is going to be a success because I did get a lot of great reviews in the first few years. I never heard nobody look at the helmets and say, man, I don't like those. Give me a plain a $50 German with the chrome on it. Nobody says that. They want the nice leather and snake skin and cut up a Louis bag, and they want all of that. So fashion culture has grown so much over the years that people want to express themselves on their bikes. So it's like dudes get a custom paint job on a bike, and then they think, what could I do next to express my, myself through my unit? And it's like, I get a moto jacket or I get a dope helmet. They used to paint helmets, and people have been painting helmets for 50, 60, 70 years probably. So, that's not new. And it's just, not that I'm the first dude to ever put leather on a helmet. But I'm the first dude to ever do it in a way where it's like options and first dude cutting up $2,000 Louis messenger bags and things like that. Like no one was doing this before me. You know what I'm saying?
Hesitate on the first cut?
I did. I do. A funny story. A dude named B Mazy, who was a ex motocross pro racer for Honda. He was into Harleys, and then he gave me his a Louis, like a Louis messenger bag that somebody had gifted him, and it was brand new. He's like, yeah, I want to put this on my Simpson. And I was like, this is like my first Louis helmet. Everything I've been doing prior to that was just going and buying leather and snakeskin.
Right.
So I was like, damn. I was like, man, how am I gonna do this? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to. I looked at the bag for like an hour before I cut it. You know what I'm saying? I cut the stitches. I didn't cut it with scissors. I cut the stitches out.
Yeah.
And when I cut bags up, I try to salvage as much of it as possible. And, because each piece of that bag is, I could do something with it. You know what I'm saying? I want to use as much of that bag's real estate as possible. But overall, it's just, it's really what the customer want.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, what is your process like for? It sounds like what you said is like any customer gets to design their helmet. What is that process like? Do you then draw it up and show it to them? Are you using a computer graphics to show them what it's going to look like? What is your process like? As much as you can disclose.
So the process is real cut and dry. I do have a customizer app attached to my website where you would be able to go on the app and see the helmet and click and change the color of it and see how it looks. You can add your logo to the front, whatever. For the German helmets, I didn't add the full face helmets yet because full face helmets is a whole nother beast. You know what I'm saying? Because I have to use certain brands for visor clearance, because when you lift the visor up, certain helmets don't have enough clearance to go over, like if I put leather on it. Right. At that small amount, that 3 millimeters make a big difference, and the visor might shrug against it and rip it or mess it up. So I only use certain brands for full faces. But overall, the process is a customer will usually, if they don't use the customizer app on the website, they'll really just tell me what they want. Like they'll say, hey, I want a black leather sides and red snakeskin middle. I want it to say Bikelife in the front and my name in the back, or my zip code, or they'll send me their custom logo and I'll embroider it. It's real simple, to get somebody's design dialed in, really. Sometimes it gets a little, daunting because people don't really know what they want. When you allow people to customize stuff, they don't really know what they want. Right. And it, a lot of times it takes a long time to get their ideas out, because they want to do it themselves. They want to have full autonomy, but they don't have the vision that they think they may have. And they, you got to walk them through it. And it sometimes takes a lot of back and forth, but I get it done.
No doubt.
I get it done.
Doubt. That's what's up, man. I see that you're also doing stuff with Vanson. I saw that you look like you went to the store in where they in Fall River, Fall River. What was that experience like for you? And how is the brands that been around much longer, are they embracing what you're doing? Are they reaching out to you, trying to collab and stuff?
Yeah, so the Vanson collaboration it had just happened organically. My cousin Sean had he introduced me to the people over there, via email. And my friend Meg, she made the introduction as just an idea for me to go and visit. Originally I was just supposed to go visit the Vanson headquarters, and I'm a fan of Vanson as a whole. I actually never owned a Vanson until now. Growing up, my mother would never buy me one. She kept saying I would get robbed, and by the time I got old enough to buy one, I don't know how I just never ended up buying one. But so yeah, I spoke to Kim Vandersleesen, who's the co-owner of Vanson, via email for a tour, because they give tours to certain schools, like or design students. They give them a tour of the factory and the showroom and things like that. So originally that's all I was supposed to go do, but I ended up driving up there in my RV, brought my bike with me, and I already, in my mind, knew that it was going to be a great experience. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a real heritage motorcycle brand. But me and Kim really hit it off. She's a real wonderful lady. Her husband Mike. I met Matt. I met everybody that works there. It's a real small knit team that makes Vansons. It's like 40 something people, and they gave me a tour, showed me the process, and then I showed her some of my jacket designs, and she liked it. And I told her I wanted to make some tracksuits so that I could because I want to start racing supermoto just for fun, not to try to like, go to distance and get into any serious races. But I want to race supermoto. I got a few friends of mine who race Moto America, and I want to make some dope tracksuits because I feel like Bespoke belongs in that space. You know what I'm saying? Not just helmets, but just anything moto and gear related. I feel like I could bring value. Yeah. So showed her my designs. She liked the idea of it. She greenlit the collaboration. We started the process of some prototypes that I didn't go public with them yet, but I'm gonna show them soon. And we're gonna do some jackets, some moto pants, leather pants, some maybe a belt, and a tracksuit. Probably a little later down the line when I finish building my supermoto. But it's just a match made in heaven. I'm blessed to just be around them. They got a really dope creative director from the Bronx. His name is Devon Bean. He's been taking Vance into new heights. And I'm just glad to be able to work with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's my plan, because I've been doing helmets exclusively for 10 years, and I haven't delved into a full scale fashion brand. Like, people want me to drop shirts and pants and everything, jackets and stuff, but that is a real big undertaking to start a brand the correct way. You know what I'm saying? Because not like I'm making fast fashion that's just buying some stuff from China and just printing my name on it. I'm in, so I want everything I make to be quality. Because I want to be on the same level as Vanson. I want to be on the same level as Alpine Star. I want to be on the same level as Fox. If not better. Yeah. So that's what I strive for. You know what I'm saying? Not to take away nothing from any of those brands, but you got to come into it with a mindset that you want to bring quality over quantity. So that's my goal. Stepping into moto jackets and pants and just more or less on the apparel side. I'm just not really excited to just print shirts and hoodies and just to make money. I love money. I love to, design stuff, but I want to take Bespoke is going to make a major change in the next few months, because, we have to grow. You know what I'm saying? Right. I've been wearing a lot of hats for this brand for a long time. I've been the creative director. I've been the marketer, the photographer. I've been doing too much. So now, I got a creative director now out of Houston, young kid named Fazar, who's he's a real dope mind. He knows how to, see the vision and as it's supposed to be viewed. You know what I'm saying? Not just like in a dream state. Like, everybody could see the vision, but they can't really, organize the vision, if you will.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm trying to put a team together, slowly but surely, and take this brand to new heights, starting with this Vanson collab. And then I got another dope designer out of the UK. His brand is called Chromatone. He's specializes in leather and suede pieces. So yeah, a lot of my stuff is going to be starting, I would say, around Christmas. From Christmas, you're going to see a lot of collaborations with different brands, because I feel like, bike life is a very vast community. Yeah. People with different fashion tastes, and I don't want to make Bespoke Bike Life, just a one trick pony based off of my fashion sense and what I think is cool. So I want to work with different brands and make stuff for different markets of bikes. I might do some stuff that's might be exclusive to the Harley market. You know what I'm saying? I might make tracksuits that's exclusive to the race market. You know what I'm saying? I might make some stuff for the streetwear community. But overall, it's all going to be, with my DNA in it.
Got you. And now, getting the Vanson collab and these other collabs that you're doing. Was it easy? I mean, it's been 10 years. So, I find, reaching out to people and try to get them for interviews and stuff like that. It's, you might reach out to 5-6 people and get 2 or something like that. What's that for you? What is it like for you? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay hungry? Because being an entrepreneur, there's always obstacles that we have to get through. So what's your process like? Yoga in the morning, green tea at night. What's going on?
So that's a good question. Motivation is something like a friend of mine told me. He's like, motivation is like a shower. You got to put that shit on you every day. You know what I'm saying? He said that shit is just not, it just don't stay. And over the last 10 years, I would say there's been a few times where I was ready to just leave it alone. You know what I'm saying? I've had a friend die wearing one of my helmets, and that was hard for me. Friend named Greg, G Money from Long Island. That was one point where I was ready to just leave it alone and do something else because, the culture is really into these German half shell helmets. And I wear them too, but they don't offer really a lot of safety when it comes to hard impacts. Not that every helmet is going to save you, but that was the first step. And it was just a lot of people in the very beginning, the first 2 years, it was like all I was making was like rest in peace helmets. A lot of them. Anybody that died, somebody friend, they want to get a RIP helmet made for their friend. And it was just like, it just kind of was wearing my spirit down. You know what I'm saying? And then, I got up out of that something. I kept grinding. And then I would say I ran into some more blockages. And, when you're trying to do something big and great and, something that's going to last, you always going to run into some obstacles. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard no success story where they say, yeah, man, it was just smooth sailing from beginning to here. Now I'm a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You just never hear that story. You always hear about, the obstacles and trials and tribulations of people before the success comes. So I was always aware that I'm going to go through some shit before I get where I want to be. And over the years, like I said, I had a few times where I wanted to do something else because I write films and screenplays. I also write curriculums for kids. And it's like my other passions have sometimes taken over because I'll be in a shop making helmets and overwhelmed with all of the stuff that come with the business, right. Of making when you make a custom product and you don't have a workforce and it's just you and in your 2 hands, there's a ceiling. It's but so much output you're going to be able to do. Right. So I would say that, when I reached the point where it's like, man, my sales is jumping, I'm getting orders on my DMs. Till this day, I can't handle the social media aspect of it myself because it's like, I get so many DMs and not everybody is a sale. It's right. Just, you get a lot of inquiries. You got these spam DMs of girls trying to show you sex cams now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got these people trying to sell you manufacture. Oh, let me make clothes for you and stuff like that. So it's like, I'll get into a conversation with somebody and inquiring about a helmet, and then their DMs will just get lost in the sauce. So again, it's just like, for me, I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym 6:30 a.m. I work out for about an hour and a half. I come back, I open my emails, I open my DMs, and I try to lock in as much as I can. And, again, it's not easy, right. Especially if you got one of those. I'm a creative at heart. Like, I'm a big dreamer. So it's like I could sit in a chair and just think about ideas all day. Right, like, right. I have a TV in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I have to discipline myself to stay on track a lot of times. I don't know if it's like ADHD or whatever it is, but I have to be aware of it that, you know, I have a job at hand and I gotta, when you work for yourself and you work from home, you know, I could go in the shop and then my daughter's coming in and she's doing something funny and I'll go play with her, you know, because I homeschool as well.
Oh, okay, that's what's
So
up.
yeah, so it's like I do, you know, I do things deliberately to make sure I stay on track. This year has been probably my most successful year. I don't know if it's because it's the 10th year anniversary, and I said to my wife that this is going to be it. If I don't have the year I need to have this year,
Right.
you know, I'm falling back. I'm gonna work on these other things, and and from February I started having the year I was supposed to have.
That's what's up.
I got a DM from a rapper by the name of Lotto. She DM'd me for 2 helmets. And she was very, very specific about the design she wanted because it was a gift. It was a Valentine's Day gift for somebody. She wanted a Chrome Hearts helmet. We was trying to, I don't know if you know about the brand and how expensive, you know, the pieces are, but we was trying to get a pair of jeans to make the helmet. And the jeans is like $9,000.
Wow.
And we couldn't get it. We couldn't get our hands on them. And she ended up having a bag, like a $15,000 bag. And she was like, I'll send you this bag, but how can I get it to you in time for have the helmets done for Valentine's Day? And so she flew my cousin. My cousin met up with her in Atlanta. She flew him to New York with the bag. I cut the Chrome Hearts bag up. $15,000 to $20,000 this bag goes for. And I cut it up. I made the helmet. She wanted a Louis helmet. I bought a Louis bag. I cut the Louis bag up. I made that helmet, 2 full face helmets, and I made them in about 36 hours, I think it was.
Wow.
I didn't go to sleep. I made those helmets because I had to get my cousin back on the plane to get it to her in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And you know, that was a big sale. You know what I'm saying? It was a hard job. You know, laborious, I would say. And but all year I've just been having a lot of blessings. You know what I'm saying? My sales really been doing good, and it's like I don't do any advertising. I don't do any, you know, I really don't do anything. It's the word of mouth. You know, the little bit of posting I do.
Right.
You know, but again, going back to your initial question, motivation just comes from knowing the job at hand and what I'm really striving for, and it's like I feel like I'm just starting right now. I feel like this 10th year is like my first year right now because it's like the first few years was just trial and error. You know what I'm saying? And aside from that, you know, I had a few side quests in bike life culture where I was trying to create a sport out of these wheelies. And rented out a racetrack in New York called Lebanon Valley Raceway. And I put a tournament together, and this is 2015, the first of its kind. Nobody had did this before. I had the dopest dudes, Brap, Crazy Rello. I had dudes from Harlem. This kid named Nas from Jersey, Grape from Baltimore. A lot of dudes who's like really like the best of the best on the East Coast at that time. We did this tournament. And the plan was to just film this as a demo and to make it and to take it to like, you know, X Games and different entities and try to show them that, you know, this bike life culture, this stunt culture is like the next thing. We're in the same space that skateboard culture was in the 90s.
Right.
When they was in, you know, nobody really at the time, and they was still skating in empty swimming pools and building plazas and stuff. And then somebody said, hey, let's put this in a controlled environment and let's judge it and let's make it a sport. And now skateboarding is in the Olympics.
Right.
Something that was frowned upon is now in the Olympics. So I see the heights for bikes as, you know, man, we really just scratching the surface. You know, we got guys that's, you know, that I come up with in the bike culture that's doing stunts for, you know, movies, big blockbuster films left and right. I got, you know, like Jersey 609 and, you know, Chad 5 from Brooklyn. Like these dudes is, you know, they got they SAG after they in a union. They doing Bad Boys. They doing Quarter T in California. All of these dudes come from the culture of dirt bike wheelies, and they took it to another level. And I feel like this is all indicative of the bike life culture as a whole. Is we're really just scratching the surface. There's so much more.
Got you. And was it difficult in the beginning to get people to come to the track, or coming from the streets and going to that track? Was that an easy say, hey, here's a date, and people showed up? Or because there's some folks that are anti going to a track. They feel like the street riding is perfect. Was there a little bit of pushback from the culture?
Well, when I did it, I really didn't promote it because I wanted to do it as a demo. So I did very little promotion. I wasn't really concerned with a big crowd. I knew it was the crowd was going to come. I had one of my bike idols, Wink 1100, was a judge. Okay. Icy Vuitton, they was the judges. So these dudes was like legends in the stunt culture. So I already knew that. This again, my plan was to make it a demo and do it again on a bigger scale. But afterward, other people like Benadon Benmore from Harlem, he started doing track events for dirt bike street culture, which was dope because what he did was make it a free ride. You know what I'm saying? He rented the track out so that the average person could just bring their bike, pay the entry fee, and just ride all day. You know what I'm saying? When he did it, I thought it was an amazing idea. And I noticed in the streets, it was like people was like kind of talking shit about it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like they was like, I'd rather ride on the streets. And I get it, the exhilaration in the streets, going through different towns and communities is fun. But running from police and risking arrest and risking getting hit off your bike and shit like that, for me, I guess maybe I'm not young enough to still have that type of recklessness in me to think that that's better than going to a track. Because at the end of the day, you popping a clutch and hanging your bike at 12 o'clock. Yeah. That's the point, right? So to do it in the streets or do it in a closed course, it's like it's an easy choice for me. But I noticed that Benadon was getting a lot of pushback, and sometimes people would rather choose the streets than the track. Maybe it was due to some people not having access to pickup trucks and ways to get to the track. But I do know that there is a portion of people that's just anti-track. It's like, to me, that's like somebody dissing a kid for learning how to play basketball in a hardwood gym and not playing on a concrete in a projects or something. It's like you're not really a baller. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not really bike life if you're not going through the streets and risking it all. So I just look at it as a more mature approach to something that, we trying to get into.
Nice. I know you talked about, one of your friends, he lost his life with your helmet. How does safety come into play as far as when in your design, and you just overall your personal opinion on folks in certain states where you don't have to, there's no helmet law and stuff like that, where most people don't want to be suited up either. You know what I mean? I see people drag racing, doing 200 in shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm just, and race boots.
So, yeah. That's a good question. I think safety is paramount for me and my approach to everything Bespoke Bikelife, because I started it, once I did the helmet, the very first helmet, it wasn't cool to wear helmets during that time in 2013, 14. Mm-hmm. It was like commonplace to just put a hat on and wheelie with your snapback. And because, everybody wants to be seen, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when I made these helmets, it made it cool to wear helmets, and it kind of took off like that. Of course I had some, dope people put the helmets on and make it even cooler, like, Leaky the Bike Star and Hollywood and Chino and people like that. But overall, safety is always frowned upon, because I feel like, the closer you are to danger, the closer you are to cool. Like, that's subconscious. It's like, that's how people look at things. You know what I'm saying? But for me, as an adult who thinks rational still, I lived a lot of I lived a reckless life up until my late 20s. I did all of the recklessness I could imagine beyond bikes. So it's like for me, I could just watch how many people I lost on bikes. How many people I watched, take nasty spills wearing shorts and t-shirts and get super road rash, you know what I'm saying? Whole body pink.
Yeah.
So it's like, I got a friend from LA, good friend of mine, Non-Boy, who he races Harleys now. So he drag race Harleys, and he was at the track recently. Most of the time he's racing Harleys in regular clothes, jeans and shirts, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. So recently he was at a track racing, and these Harleys is fast. These is not like no pigs. These is real fast built Harleys. And he's doing a drag race. He hit the brakes wrong somehow at the end of the strip, and he spilled, and he was wearing all leather.
Oh.
But so he said after that he's never racing again without being suited.
Yeah.
But this is somebody who, the first time him wearing a helmet on dirt bikes was when I made his helmet. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't wearing helmets. He wasn't used to being, safe. I mean, safety is like, it's just one of those things where it's like, it could happen to anybody.
Right.
Like the best rider in the world can crash and die.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, why would the average person, you an average rider, you an average stunner, why wouldn't you think that somebody, especially in the streets, where we have to deal with reckless drivers. So it's like somebody could just cut you off and knock your head off. If you're not wearing a helmet, your head is hitting that pavement. You ain't coming back from that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Traumatic brain injury, you're going to be a vegetable for the rest of your life because you chose to wear a Yankee hat while you're riding instead of a helmet. And again, not everything is going to save you, but it's like you have to take that you got to take that extra step, man, to be safe, man, especially in riding locally. Tracks for sure, because you're pushing it to the limit. So me, going back to the advancing collaboration, obviously they dual purpose. You could wear the jackets and, just to be stylish, or you could wear it on the track and you wear it while you're riding so that in case you go down, you protect it.
Right.
But for me, having kids and being a certain age, man, you kind of lose that edginess, that fearlessness. Like, man, I can't die. I used to think I can't go down. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I've been riding a long time, and I've been blessed to not ever have the type of crash that put me up in the hospital for a long time. I broke my toe twice in 2 years in a row. That was like within the last 5 years. So for me, I've been lucky. And I will never take that for granted by thinking that it's cool to not be safe. You know what I'm saying? So when I approach all my designs, obviously the helmets it's a helmet. So obviously we making that's safety in itself. But when it comes to the apparel, I try to think every textile that I choose, even with my mechanic shirts. I made a small batch of these mechanic shirts that was made of it was made of this thick like a Gore-Tex type canvas. So, you go for a little slide, doing 30, 40, 50 on your dirt bike, you're not going to slide straight through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, everybody is, not thinking like me. Some people is going, they want to be swaggy.
Yeah.
Miami and South Carolina. South Carolina is a no helmet law state. So, that kind of, people in states that don't have helmet laws, listen, I mean, live your life, but just know you only get one brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like that down here in Florida. I spent 9 days in the hospital, lacerated my spleen, which meant I blew it up on impact, and got a screw in my hand. So, and I was wearing gear. But I fallen,
wearing gear.
Yeah. And a car did a U-turn in front of me, and I couldn't stop in time. So
you can't stop that. You can't. That goes back to like dealing with people in the streets, man. You cannot control a 58-year-old lady not having good driving practices. Can't control her.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying? It's a lot more, control there.
Exactly. And nowadays, like my race suit got airbags in them, and now we see airbag vests for the streets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's dope. I
yeah,
think that's dope.
um, you know, where do you see things going from where they currently are, as far as the guys the guys and gals on the street, as far as getting them more into the track and stuff like that? Do you think that that's something that we can convince people in the community in the bike life community to do? Do you think that maybe cities and states need to get involved in the sense of, like, providing transportation to and from track, or maybe creating a dirt bike park in the city? What are your thoughts on how things are looking for the culture?
I think the future is bright. Maybe because I'm just a an optimistic thinker, but I do think that we are going to see more people leaning into track days. I know it's a guy on Instagram, Easy22, who's like, he's always promoting track life and things like that, and he's garnering a lot of attention. I know, like I said, Benadon Benmore, he's doing his track events. He does a few a year. There's a few different groups now that's doing track days, whether it's for dirt bike stunts and ATV stunting, or whether it's for racing. And I think one thing I'm going to try to do next year is, I have a lot of friends who's into, they do hauling, auto hauls and stuff like that, where I think that if we set up, some type of organized track days with these truckers to bring bikes to these tracks, it'll be it's incentive for them to obviously make money, but it's also an incentive for you to go to the track. If we, the same way, we'll do bus rides to go to Dorney Park or Six Flags, we could do bus rides to go to the park. I mean, to the track. Right, so right. I think it's really about getting the people together that want to see the culture grow, with or without the incentive of being the man behind the bag that comes in with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. Me, I would put something together that I just want dudes to go to a track day and enjoy riding. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a big financial upside for me. I just want to see people go to the track. I would like to see more dirt bike stunners try supermoto racing, because supermoto to me is it's a very young sport. The fastest dude, the dudes who's champions in the sport, they don't even have huge followings. Like Gage McAllister, he's like one of the best supermoto racers, and he doesn't have a huge following. And it's like, wow, the racing is intense. You know what I'm saying? The bikes is dope, and it's like, I feel like I could get a lot of dudes to transition and get the training to start doing some racing, and it's all kinds of different racing. You know what I'm saying? We just got to get more of the people like you, myself, and others to get more, feet to the ground and getting people involved. Like, you know what? I'm taking my RV to the track. I got space for 5 bikes, man. Bring out bikes. Let's go to the track. You know what I'm saying? Right. So next season, I feel like that's going to be, something that I get into more, especially after I make these race suits, because obviously I want to promote them, but I'm going to be racing myself. I'm going to have a supermoto myself. So I think that's all it takes, man, is just everything revolves around influence. If we could properly influence them to come try it out, I don't think nobody's going to go to a track and say, yeah, that was whack. I'm not going back to that. That shit was corny. Like, when I go to the track for the dirt bike stunts, it's a wonderful feeling. You know what I'm saying? You in the paddock, chilling, barbecuing, got your kids there. You got your trailer there, your lawn chairs, jokes. Dudes is enjoying life, and then you just go take a couple spins on the track, opposed to going to the neighborhood and wilding out and risking your bike taken from police or getting hit off the bike. I think it's a no-brainer. It's just, we got to make more of a conscious effort in, enticing the community, because bike life is growing it's not a lot of adults getting into bike life, more or less. It's a lot of kids getting into it.
Yeah.
So these kids go from BMX bikes to dirt bikes, and the first thing they do is they want to hit the streets. You know what I'm saying? So if we could pipeline them from BMX to the track, I think we'll be in a good space over the next few years. You know, I see bike life having the potential to be humongous, but unfortunately, I think it's going to take big brands to get involved and kind of take the helms of it, because we've been trying. Dudes like me, the reason my Bike Battle League didn't go to where it should have went is because, you know, that's the politics. You know, you need the support from the culture. Everybody's trying to be, you know, their own. They want to be a CEO of their own entity. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take a major entity to come in and say, here, Bike Life needs $15 million to take this thing and put it to where, you know, Supercross is or where Supermoto is. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take that, unfortunately, and people going to look at it like it's a culture vulture situation. But unfortunately, we don't. I'm gonna speak for the Black people, and, you know, in our culture, you know, we real young in entrepreneurship. Like, we're young, we're new to this. You know what I'm saying? We new to doing business. We new to having CPAs. We new to having any wherewithal when it comes to doing business. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's you've been doing business for 10 years, 15, 20 years, that's all. You're a baby. You're an infant.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It took Monster years to be worth $70 million, $80 million, however much Monster is worth. I mean, Supercross is worth.
Right.
Monster and Supercross.
Right.
It took years for all of these things to grow to where they at. So I think it's going to either take somebody with a real big bag of money to actually trust the process and trust some people into taking it where it need to go, or one of these brands is going to have the one or two or three, and it could be more than one entity, because it's more than one skateboard tournament. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
More than one. Where you got Moto America, you got GP, you got, you know, it's so many different leagues and stuff. So it's like, it just really comes with who's down to work and with each other. And
yeah, it's interesting you say about the bag and the different leagues and stuff like that. I was doing a recap show last night, and you know, we were talking about, you know what, like Formula One and MotoGP riders, Moto America riders, you know, World Superbike. Some of these guys got to pay to ride, right? Because it's not like the NBA. You sign a contract and show up. You just got to keep your body healthy and be on point.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, one of the guys on the show was just saying, you know, like the what exactly he said? He's like, the city would have to own the arena, or the team would have to own the track to make it, you know, work. So it's like literally you know, if it would to work, you know, in a way that when the team like sort of like how the NBA has it with the different arenas, and the same thing with football, right. Even though some of those places might be leased out or whatever the case may be, but it'd have to be a situation where it's like, you know, the whole team has to own all these different properties across the country, and then also, you know, split the profits, right? And it's so similar to what NFL does in NBA and that kind of thing, because like the talented guys may not have the money to go race. You know what I'm saying? And
I've noticed,
you know, and we see, yeah, you've been in the Moto America paddock, you see it. You know, I mean, we see the guys, you know, and some of these guys are on factory bikes and they got to still come out $150K out their pocket and stuff like that, which makes it harder. You know, it makes you take more risk in one hand because you have to do well to keep making money, but then also, you know, to stay in the sport for a long time.
Right. So I think as far as that goes, I think it's just, we need to come up with new and fresh ways to monetize the sport, because it's an old
man sport.
It's an old man sport, and it's a rich man sport. Yeah. You know, privateers go broke trying to, you know, race, and it's like you have to you have to innovate. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these races, I tell you, when I was doing a pit crew for this guy Gil Conti, he was I was exposed to a lot of stuff. I was at one of the dopest tracks in the world, Laguna Seca Raceway.
Yeah.
And it was just like I interviewed a few people just to hear their story, and these dudes is like, yeah, even if I get first place, it's that person is nothing compared to how much I spent to be here. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the amount of money that the people up here is making compared to the amount of money that the people that's racing is making is like kind of wild. So I feel like we got to come up with new systems of formatting these races and new ways to garner sponsorship, get new types of brands as sponsors. Because it's but so many moto brands that's what I'm saying, that's going to be able to give somebody a sizable amount of money to race. So, but if you was to get other brands like, let's just say fashion brands and all these sneaker companies and things like that, if we was able to all it takes is a few creative minds to sit down and remap how the system operates. I think it would be a golden era for the motorsports culture, and that's down the board. NASCAR and all this racing stuff is old man stuff. Yeah. This stuff started out from NASCAR
days and
moonshine days and stuff like that. Indy 500, all of this stuff. This stuff is old money. Yeah. So old money like to keep money. You know what I'm saying? They don't really like to spread money. Right. So it's going to take new people. It's going to take new people, whether it's me, you, and bunch of other young, creative minds who's not trying to be selfish, who just want to see. I would love for my 17-year-old son and my 8-year-old daughter and my 14-year-old daughter to be 25 years old and saying, oh, I work at this racetrack. Yeah, I make X amount of money a year coordinating this and that and the third. Yeah. But, it just comes from people sitting down at the table and putting they shit to the side. Now, I've tried to work with different people myself, and I might have been a little, biased to the way certain people operated and just chose not to work with them. But, at this point in time, it's like, I'm down to do anything to see this culture grow. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because, again, the kids love this stuff more than anybody. And I'm really for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really, I go to schools and talk to these kids, about the, whether it's the streets, I entice them with my brand and, because kids love bikes. So it's like, I think that it's important for us within the next 2 to 5 years to really start to be proactive about making. It's going to be difficult to just open new tracks in 2 to 5 years, but just to use the existing tracks and come with a new template and system on how we can make it fun and we can make different leagues and make it lucrative. You know what I'm saying? And not that you got to get rich and, become a millionaire off of it, but it's definitely a way to, where you could get money and live a sustainable life off this. You know what I'm saying? We putting our life on the line, just like somebody else boxing. Right. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it just come with some sitting down and round table.
And it's our turn to give back. You know what I mean? Like, I was fortunate enough that, the right people talked to me and my life went this way instead of that way. And so I do feel like it is our turn to give back as much as we can. This year was the first year we were able to sponsor a rider in Motor America. It was a small patch, but nonetheless, we got our foot in the door. We also sponsored a mini series out of New England for young kids starting to learn how to race and stuff like that. So it's a New England mini motor series up that way and stuff like that. So I agree with you as far as giving back. We would like to get a lot of cash from it and stuff like that, but at the same time, giving back to someone, is just as important because, like I said, I had the right people talking to me. I didn't know it at the time, but at least I was listening. And when I needed to regurgitate what they were telling me, it helped me make the right decisions and put me in a different place in life than I am right now. So, and I feel the same thing. Like, in Boston, I was going into schools with this program and talking to fifth graders and stuff like that. And, let them know they can get into music, they can get into motorcycle racing, get into, if they want to get into fashion or whatever and stuff like that. and just let them know anything is possible, especially, coming from the hood. So I feel you there, and I hope, you and I and others like us will continue to drive the sport in a way that just, brings more people like us in it, because we do have a big spending power in the U.S. And if we come together collectively on this stuff, 3 to 5 years from now, there may be less dirt bikes on the streets and more on the track. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and then the community will be happy, and the riders will be happy.
Yeah, man. I think so, man. Earlier this year, actually, Leaky the Bike Star put an event together where he got a permit for some like 3 blocks or something in Queens, where they was able to put an event together, like a competition together. They didn't even use a track. You know what I'm saying? And when I think back to a few years ago, when the guy who recently passed, unfortunately, Ken Block,
Mm-hmm.
they used to literally have a mile of streets in San Francisco cordoned off for him to do drifting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They'll put a race going right through Long Beach in California. You know what I'm saying? F1 or so it's not like we can't get the city to
Get on board.
acquiesce to what we trying to get into. It's just about the right approach. You know what I'm saying? We got to come correct. You know what I'm saying? Because this is corporate America at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I will say it does. Some people in the city will stop it, because Boston almost had the opportunity to get Formula One to come there in the Seaport area, and some local politicians killed it. And so there is, there's definitely pushback from some people who don't want it. And I think that's what we see in all the cities, right? That the pushback is from the people who don't want it, obviously. There's going to be some convincing or some bypassing that needs to happen, because just because they don't want it, we should still be able to do it, especially if we do it in a manner that, follow city ordinance and all that stuff.
I think so. Yeah, I think we just got to go to where you go where you want it at. Like, it's gonna be some cities is just anti-motorsport cities. You know what I'm saying? Boston, I think, being one of them. Some cities is pro. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, we got to really like sit down and put them all on a vision board and say, okay, these cities right here, they love motorsports. We should attack these cities first and get the municipalities involved and present. And that's all it is. It's about pitching accordingly, and I think we could get somewhere with that. Word.
No doubt. Well, man, I'm going to leave it there, man, because I think we could probably keep talking all day.
Yeah, man. We'll talk more off camera, man, because you got a lot of good ideas, man, and you got the wherewithal with the tracks and things like that. So I want to pick your brain about track life. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
And hopefully you could hit the track one day soon.
For sure. Tell people how they can find you, man, and then we'll stop recording and we can chop it up.
Okay. You can find me at my Instagram is Bespoke Bikelife. At Bespoke Bikelife. I don't do TikTok, I don't do Snapchat, I'm on Instagram. That's where you can find me. You can email me at info@bespokebikelife.com. Website is bespokebikelife.com, man. Again, thanks for having me, bro. Wonderful discussion.
No problem, man. Meech from Bespoke Bikelife.
Yeah. Meech from Queens. Bespoke Bikelife is the brand.
No doubt. Peace.